These are the 5 worst things about living in Vancouver, Washington. Hey, welcome back to the Living in Vancouver and Camas, Washington YouTube channel. I'm Hannah Dubyne, and I'm so excited you're here today because, well, we're talking about the 5 worst things about Vancouver. Is that cause to be excited? I guess so. The reason I'm making this video, though, is because Vancouver and Clark County, Washington might not be right for you. So I do want to be transparent and let you know, hey, what do I think the worst things about living here are? If you can get over these things and you're fine with them, then hey, it's a great fit for you. But if not, then I would rather you move on and find somewhere else because I just want everyone to be happy in life. So let's get into it. My top 5 reasons why Vancouver is the worst. I'm just gonna start straight off the bat with my number 1 top reason, which does, in my opinion, right, outweigh the other reasons I have on the list, and that would be being associated with Portland. I know that this is gonna be controversial, and I'm sure I'll have a dozen comments down there, people hating on me. Go ahead, it's my opinion. But yeah, I've talked to a lot of people that live in Clark County and Vancouver who do not like being associated with Portland. We're very close to each other geographically. Technically, we're a secondary market to Portland Metro, but we are really very distinctly different. If you're not aware, Portland got on the national news the last couple of years through COVID. There were riots, extreme homelessness, lawlessness. The city just really went downhill. They totally, they let go of control, and there's a very high tolerance for lawlessness, and the policies there are not really doing anyone any favors. I've helped a considerable number of people move from the Portland Metro over to the Vancouver side because they just don't like it there anymore, and it's sad because they've spent the last 20 or 30 years of their life there, but it's just the reality. The city really has not recovered from their radical policies and their high tolerance for lawlessness. It's not political, it's just a fact of what is going on over there, and people of all walks of life are not enjoying it. So when I tell people from around the country, I live close to Portland, I don't love being associated with Portland. Now, the good news about this is that we are separated by a river, that's the Columbia River. We're separated by 2 bridges. It's like 5 minutes across the bridge. And we really are 2 distinct groups of people, 2 distinct cultures. I think we do a pretty good job preserving our own way over in Vancouver and Clark County. So not to worry, we see a trickle of homeless, I would say more on the downtown Vancouver side, but we still support we support our police enforcing laws over here. We try and enact policies that help people from the ground up if they're experiencing turmoil in their life, rather than just letting it escalate out of control like it has over in Portland. The second worst thing about living in Vancouver is the winters and the gray skies. So I've touched on this before, and I'm sure you've heard about it if you've been researching the area, but in the winters, our skies are gray, and on our shortest days, we only have daylight from about 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., which is not very long. So it can just kind of get somber in the winter. A lot of people get seasonal affective disorder, which is like a mild version of depression that comes around when the winter comes around. You get it because of the weather. A lot of people don't even know they have it. They just kind of have a tamed down personality during that time. I find that this affects people mostly who have lived in warm areas their whole life where the sun is always out. So maybe you're from California and the sun is always out. That might be a little difficult transition. You can get one of the light lamps, or, well, I wouldn't say or, I would say and take a vitamin D supplement every day. Those are good things to mitigate against seasonal affective disorder. And I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, so I'm used to those winters and used to the gray skies. I do find some comfort in it, but the short days and the short amount of light is definitely not something I'm a fan of. The third worst thing about living in Vancouver is the traffic, but only if you work in Oregon. If you don't work in Oregon and you don't need to commute to Oregon on a regular basis, you're gonna be in great shape. You're probably not gonna hit a lot of traffic ever, which is amazing. But if you work in Oregon and you do the commute into Portland Metro and then out of Portland Metro in the evening, you're gonna hit traffic. So, you know, it backs up on I-5 and I-205 going north and southbound, southbound in the morning and then northbound in the afternoons for a couple hours. If you are working typical business hours, there's a possibility that you could be going an hour and a half one way and an hour and a half the other way. So that's 3 hours in the car every day. That's, you know, I mean, you're gonna have to make the decision if that's worth it to you or not. I literally never get caught in traffic and I'm so happy about it. But I know people that do that commute daily and it can be a little taxing. Traffic is yet another one of those things I realized is relative to folks. If you are moving in from somewhere rural and there's like 20 people in your town, you're gonna think that we have so much traffic. But if you're moving from California and you're used to gridlock 24/7, then you're gonna think that this is a dream. Personally, I just try to not cross the bridge when I know I'm gonna hit rush hour, and I pretty much never hit it. It's a win-win. My fourth worst thing about living in Vancouver, Clark County, Washington, is that it's a high cost of living area. Now, high is another one of those words that's relative, so just take that with a little grain of salt. But when I say it's high cost, I'm comparing it to nationally, because what better to compare it to, right? Nationally, home cost right now is about $400K. So depending on how you slice it up, who you look to for that data, but we're gonna use $400K nationally. In Vancouver, right now our median sale price is about $500K. Camas, it's about $750K. Ridgefield's about $600K. Battlegrounds just under $600K. So we're significantly above the national average. The good thing about that is that there are a lot of high-paying, high-skilled jobs here. So we do have the income to support that cost of living. I also made a video about the full cost of living breakdown for living in Clark County, Washington. I'm gonna link it down below. I'll put the thumbnail right now there so you can check it out. I would definitely watch that video if you're looking for a more in-depth breakdown. The fifth and final worst thing about living in Vancouver in Clark County, Washington is, well, I actually don't have one here. So funny story, when I was writing this video, I was thinking it has to be 5, right? Because that's an odd number, 4 would be weird. I literally couldn't think of one, guys. I know these are 4 things that are, you know, not great, but all things considered, I love living in this area, as do so many others. I've helped a ton of clients move here. And if I didn't love it, I would move out. So yeah, I literally couldn't think of a 5th one. I hope this was helpful. I hope it was a nice nugget of truth for you. I always try and be transparent with everything I do in life and in business. But if you're thinking about potentially relocating to Vancouver, Camas, Clark County, Washington, myself, my team at Dubyne Realty Group, we would love to be of service to you. Whether you're moving in 9 days, 90 days, or even 9 years from now, we want to hear from you. So the best way to reach us would be through email, text, or DM me on Instagram at Hannah Dubyne. I would really, really love to connect with you. Also, you should sign up for our weekend newsletter, Weekend Happenings with Hannah, where I talk about the best events going on every weekend in our county. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.